So folks, breaking news. It's finally happened. It's an actual skirmish between pickleballers and tennis players. Maybe not. Well, it's being reported all over mainstream media about an incident that happened in Massachusetts. We're going to get on the computer and we're going to go over what's been written so far and see what's going on. But apparently there were some words. There's some conflict about maybe the use of the courts and some vandalism accusations against possibly a tennis coach. And we're going to see what's going on. And it's been boiling up. The invasion and encroachment of pickleball onto the tennis scene is been slowly gaining traction, and tennis players don't like it. They're quiet about it, and silence is acceptance. So, maybe somebody decided, or a group of people decided to draw a line in the sand or on the court. So let's take a look at the articles and see what's going on and talk about it, and let's get going. And if you like the new merch, store's on the bottom of the video. Like and support the channel. Let's get right to the article. Okay, so here we are, and we're going to take a look at some news articles about the incident, and we're going to learn more about what happened. So this is by Market Watch. I don't know how much they know about pickleball. So as pickleballers spend billions on the sport, tennis players are accused of vandalizing their nets. Okay, tennis players. Let's see about this roving gang of tennis players. Let's play the article here.
Pickleballers are back on the court at this park in Needham, but now with only 2 of the 6 nets the local club used to have until this past weekend.
Someone sliced them in half, so they're completely unusable.
This is how the pickleball players say they found their nets on Monday morning. The pickleballers say they don't know who cut the nets, but say it happened shortly after a confrontation with some tennis players.
Okay, they don't know who cut the nets, but it happened after a confrontation with some tennis players.
Well, there was an actual push, and then it was physical. So it was quickly broken up. But there was a lot of yelling and screaming, and yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Then, late yesterday, the pickleball players say they found their nets like this, disassembled and thrown in a heap.
Ooh, somebody went to town on those nets. Look at that. Yeah, that's angry. That's nasty.
The Needham girls tennis team was playing at the time, and the pickleballers say one of their coaches admitted to trashing the nets.
It's in the police report. He admitted to taking them apart and just throwing them. Yeah.
Did he admit it to you too?
Yeah.
The school district says it is aware of an incident reportedly involving unacceptable adult behavior.
So he admitted to taking them apart and throwing them. Let's see in the pictures here. That's a lot different than slicing them. Yeah, they look sliced up.
Yeah.
The school district says it is aware of an incident reportedly involving unacceptable adult behavior and is investigating. Pickleball lines were added to these courts only this year. Some tennis players admit their new neighbors do take some getting used to.
It's louder. It is louder.
But most everyone agrees there should be room enough for both sports to coexist.
If people aren't open to sharing their courts with this new sport, that's their problem. But I have no issue. I think it's great that more people are getting out.
There's where I have the problem. People say, oh, there's more room for everybody. That's not necessarily the case. In certain areas, tennis courts are a resource that is not really available to many people. And there's only so many days of good weather. There's only so many hours of daylight on non-lighted courts. And there's only so much room. So if you're going to take a sport like pickleball, which they claim is the fastest growing sport in America, in the world, and then you're going to just dump all that action onto existing tennis courts, you're going to have a problem. Try it with any other sport. Go to a Little League baseball field during the Little League season and try to start a new game on the field and see what happens. See how welcomed you are. Go to a soccer field and try to start a new sport on a soccer field during primetime soccer hours. See what happens. Why is it acceptable to just invade and take turf away from tennis courts and not basketball courts, paddleball courts, parking lots? Let's take up parking at the mall and see that's a private property, but let's go to a park and take up a portion of the parking lot and just set up nets. Cars could go park somewhere else, right? Park them on the grass. So I have a problem with that. That's poor thinking that there's room for everybody when there's not.
People are getting out.
Now, the Pickleball Club says it was the one who paid for these nets in the first place and will now pay to replace them at a cost of about $100.
So, first of all, this Pickleball Club goes and paints lines. Maybe they had permission, maybe they hadn't, on existing tennis courts. Now, if you play tennis and you see all these different lines on the courts, it is a distraction. It is not what a tennis court is. They're not playing tournaments, pro level tournaments, amateur tournaments on courts with pickleball lines. That's only acceptable in certain clubs and in public parks. Why is that acceptable? Why don't you go play pickleball lines on a basketball court and see how welcome that is? You just don't go and invade another person's sport and area and court and start doing your own thing with your own little club. So I say the pickleball courts were the tennis courts were vandalized by the pickleball lines first. And it's time for tennis players to not just stand around and joke and talk about it. It's time to stand up to it and push back. Not physically. I'm not saying vandalism is the answer, but maybe this is a turning point where people say, you know what? We don't have room for pickleball courts. If it's so popular, if there's so many billions of dollars being pumped into the industry, do what tennis has done over the last 100 years and promote the sport. Build courts. Get your own infrastructure. They're starting to build clubs. Get your own space. Do your own thing. And stay out of tennis courts. Let's look at this from Boston. They're a little bit closer. This happened in Massachusetts. Possible escalation of tennis versus pickleball. Yeah. Let's see what they say here in this report, if it's the same report.
This park in Needham, but now with only 2 of the 6 nets the local club used to have until this past weekend.
Someone sliced them in half, so they're completely.
So even the media is using the same damn story. They're so damn lazy. They sliced them in half.
Unusable.
This is how the pickleball players say they.
I want to take a look. Let's take a look here. I saw a screen. Okay, look at that court, man. Look at the lines. Service line, you got blue lines.
Are back on the.
Did they paint those lines or those tape? That's annoying. Why do we have to put up with that?
Pickleball lines were.
Look at these lines. Look at this. That's annoying. They're damaging, vandalizing a tennis court, whether it's with permission of the city or whatnot. But it's an invasion. It's an invasion. And let's not even get into the noise. The noise is annoying. I'm sorry, but pickleball, so popular. Get your own turf. Get your own turf. Tennis has been doing it for 100 years, and now you're just coming up out of nowhere like the new fad. All power to you. But I don't think I've heard of any other sport that uses the resources of another sport and just starts to take over and be arrogant about it. It's not a racket sport. It's a paddle sport. So go set up on paddle courts. That seems the right size. Go somewhere else. So this guy pushed back. Unfortunately, he's probably going to lose his job, or maybe he just volunteers with the girls tennis team. And but I like the pushback, And here's another insanity thing on the pickleball scene, which apparently pickleball is a cure for everything. So they're reporting here that this mayor thinks that pickleball can solve Seattle's crime and fentanyl crisis. They have a picture here of millennial shopping or whatever, and how insane is that? This is why Seattle is in the place that it is. Big retailers are leaving, small retailers are suffering, they can't afford to leave. It's a S-hole, and you know what I'm talking about. But this guy thinks pickleball can solve the crime and fentanyl. Yeah, go to a guy that's high in fentanyl, who's bent over on the street corner like a statue, and put a pickleball paddle in his hand and say, "Hey, buddy, I'm here to help. Let's play some. Let's go in the kitchen and dink." Is that gonna help this guy? What is this guy, insane? This is the problem. This is the type of leadership that's get elected in Seattle, and that's why they're in the place that they are. I mean, pickleball, the only thing pickleball could solve is probably a bug infestation where you could swat mosquitoes with the paddles. That's the only good I see it doing. Or maybe cleaning up San Francisco's human waste crisis by using the pickleball paddle to start scooping up human waste and throwing it in the garbage. That's where pickleball can be effective. Not on my tennis court, and definitely it's not going to solve drug crisis and a crime wave. I don't think so. Pickleball is not the answer. So let me get off my rant, and I hope you enjoy the news that maybe tennis players will start standing up and stop being so passive, and let's get it going. Remember, history takes small little events to lead up to wars, and this may be the first of many. So stay safe, play tennis, and like and subscribe, and check out my merch, and let me know if I'm just insane and a hater in the comments. And if you agree with me, show me some support. Thanks a lot. Bye.